we're going to talk about a very important topic, stress management in nails.
I think the most important thing that a tech can do is having the boundaries and learning to disconnect.
Okay.
Which is hard.
You're talking about, in general, your business, like setting boundaries and disconnecting.
Yeah, because a lot of the stress can come from not only the fact that you're working hard, you got bills to pay, you got all this, but you're dealing with people that's your whole life.
Is people.
It's customer service, and it's a very intimate setting, right?
Yes.
And very involved. It's not like you just can walk around and do nails, no talking, no nothing. And so a lot of time that's where and people wanting to get in, and I got to change my appointment, and I got a broken nail, and I got showing up late, and so if you haven't been able to disconnect and learn to set boundaries, let's start with setting boundaries first. So have you set those rules out of you can't show up late, things that will stress you out, cancellation policy, things like that, to avoid those types of stressful situations,
right?
Because especially once you have a full clientele, your times how many people.
Oh, yeah.
Have you tried to set those boundaries there?
But what about the people? So like, I'm speaking for somebody out there right now that's like, it's so hard for me to set boundaries because I feel bad. Like I feel guilty if I tell them something, and then they kind of like, well, okay. And then I'm like, geez. And then you feel bad. Like, what are your thoughts?
I think sometimes people don't realize that I overthink everything.
Yeah. Right.
Habib probably could testify to this.
Got some experience.
I will have a conversation and I will play it over in my head over and over, and it's me. And so believe me, I understand what you feel. I understand that feeling of like, oh, I don't want to make them feel bad. Oh, I don't want them to feel awkward. Oh, I said that and maybe I came across this way. My mind just spinning just by talking about it. And so I get it. And we tend to have this conversation in our head with like the whole group, right?
Yeah.
It's an individual situation. You're really dealing with clients one-on-one, even though you're telling all your clients it. Don't try to act like you're standing up in front of 1,000 people butt naked.
Right.
But so it is. I get it. I understand. But are you going to keep having those awkward little moments and stress over and over and over again, where we could just get it done, pull the Band-Aid off, rip it off, let's get it done, have that one conversation, and the boundary set?
Yeah, I feel like here are your choices. Either ongoing, constant, awkward conversations, like you said, with lots of stress attached to it because you're not able to communicate, or you have that one uncomfortable conversation. You might have to have two with some people, but you lay it down, and you might even feel guilty after doing it, but you should pat yourself on the back and say, the guilt will go. I'm not going to be stressed anymore, a lot less stressed. I might have to have another conversation with a few people, but I'm running my business and I'm setting this is what you're supposed to do in a business. You should feel good. Like, even though you might have these like mixed emotions, the one thing you should do after you have that conversation is pat yourself on the back and say, dude, I did it. I'm taking a step towards more stress-free,
Absolutely. And, if I don't, right, and I play these conversations in my head and I feel guilty and I feel bad, so I just keep on letting it go. What's happening is every time it happens, I'm getting madder and madder. I'm probably going to explode on the next client who did one little thing that didn't even deserve it. Then you're really going to feel horrible, right? In the meantime, Habib's over here. He's set his boundaries. He's just living life and stress-free for the most part. And you can get to the point if you don't set those boundaries where you don't want to do nails anymore because you don't want to deal with people.
If you feel like you're getting run over all the time, if you feel like people are stressing you out all the time and not respecting, like, I think some people, Tracey, and I've done this too, right? At some point in the business, you say, well, they should just know. How could they not? You know how many times I've heard that? Like, how do they not know that you should, like, you're supposed to be,
It's common sense.
yeah, it's common sense. Like,
And you're right.
they know I'm not my only, yeah, you're absolutely right. They know I'm not the only customer, that they're not my only customer. They know I have people that, don't they know yes, you are correct. They should know, but it's your responsibility to actually enforce. Like, if you allow someone to just always be late, they're always going to be late. If there's no penalty or no
consequences. And you know whose fault it is?
It's yours.
It's yours.
It's yours.
Because literally, finally, when you do blow up, your client's going to look at it and you say, "I had no idea."
Correct.
And you can't correct them. Yes, it was common sense. I get it, but you never told them, so they really can say, "I had no idea." And maybe they really didn't. They just never really thought about what kind of position that puts us, what it does to us in a day. Maybe they really didn't think about it.
I have a friend of mine has a business. I'm not going to name any names.
Name names, dates, and times.
This is in the Geneva Convention. It's protected. But I have a friend who has a business, okay? Mm-hmm. And it's a similar kind of business where it's a service business, right? And one of the clients was coming in and bringing their kids, okay? But these are older kids, okay? You'd think,
leave them home,
right? Okay, so yeah. And he doesn't have a policy like that in his business, but he had to have a conversation because there was a lot of distraction going on, and afterwards he felt so guilty. He felt so guilty, and it was that battle of do I just allow this to keep going, or do I need to communicate, with the client and say, hey, look, I can't have this anymore. It's not good. So on and so forth. And it stopped.
Yeah.
And
he feels better.
He feels so much better.
Yeah.
Feels so much better about it. It's kind of amazing, still kind of guilty about it. But, recently when I had the conversation with him, he was like, oh my God, it's like a relief, man. I'm like, yeah, dude, because you have to have the conversation. It's not easy.
And eventually you probably end up having the conversation. Let's just have it earlier, and be done with it. But on the other side, we talked about disconnecting.
So this is huge.
That's kind of preventative stress, right? Like, setting boundaries, getting that all the way. That's preventative stress.
Totally.
But you're still going to have stress. And eventually, sometimes you have to give yourself time. Now, maybe that's just, I need a vacation. But when I talk about disconnecting, I mean on the regular. I mean every day, every night, and every weekend, or whatever days you don't work. Quit. My clients knew I wasn't going to answer your phone call, right? I'm not going to answer your text messages when I'm off. Or I might, but it will be on my own terms and own time. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. And I don't think I've almost done it myself. Oh, I'll just DM my hairdresser real quick, and it's 12 o'clock at night. I've almost done it myself, just not even thinking. You would be shocked. My friends who are still in salon, they're like, yeah, she texted me at 11:30 last night. Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. And got upset that I didn't respond. Like, what? But you got to shut it off.
Yeah.
Shut it off. You leave that door, and I'm done for the night. I'm going to go have some drinks. I'm not going to stress about, it's the weekend, but my clientele might be hitting me up, and I don't want to sound like I've been drinking. Or just do whatever you want to be able to do. Shut it off and not feel guilty. That is mental health right there. Because if you're going to feel guilty about it, then it's really not worth it, know? So you got to be able to, that disconnect is so important.
The disconnect is so massive. I used to have a major problem disconnecting. Sometimes I still do, but what I've managed to be able to do lately, let's say the last like 3 to 5 years, is disconnect from like the bad news temporarily. Like, so if it's like 7 o'clock at night and I get an email and it's like something is wrong or there's a major problem, it's like, I'm going to deal with it tomorrow.
Yeah.
When I wake up, I will deal with it, and I will, disconnect, and I'm going to go, and I was planning to be with my kids or whatever it is. I'm going to do that,
Yeah.
but
It can wait.
It can wait, and it will wait.
Especially nails.
Yes. Right.
It's not heart surgery.
Yeah, exactly. It can wait. Like in the end, I think that, like you have to really, it does take practice. It's taken me practice to disconnect. Some people need that practice. I know you as well probably needed that practice.
I have a huge issue with disconnecting.
I know. I'm the same. You and I are very similar in this way. But you have to practice it. And, with nails, I think that's such a great combo, Tracy, like putting the preventative stuff in, like you were saying, of setting the boundaries. And then when it's time to go home, it's time to go home. And like, if a client is texting you at 11, like they broke a nail that's come on.
It's ridiculous. And this is why I've always said, I really highly recommend, if you can, having a separate phone for your business, a separate cell phone. And that goes in a drawer. It gets put away. And then this is your friends, your family have this phone. And then, because out of sight, out of mind, right?
Yeah,
because I'm the type of person, if I see a text message coming through,
Dude.
It's going to give me anxiety, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'll just answer it really quick. Well, what if I've just taught them? They can text me at 11:30 at night and I'm going to respond. And if I don't, now they're going to get upset.
Right.
So think about that. I really always have encouraged two phones.
I think now you can have like different numbers.
You can.
And then you just shut one off at a certain time or put it to voicemail.
Mm-hmm. I actually have it on my phone, and not for the business, but for actually just people calling in sick and stuff. But it's super cheap, and it goes to a completely separate line, and I can turn it completely off. They can still leave their stuff.
Yeah, you can still leave messages, but you'll check it in the morning. You'll check that number and check those voice messages, and you just leave it.
Or if you don't want to have to think about it, if that anxiety's there and that temptation is to actually look at it, have it go to another phone, put it in the drawer, shut it off.
I like that.
And there's nothing wrong with telling your clients that too. And they might try to make you feel guilty. That's another part of healthy boundaries and mental health is I'm not allowing you to dictate how I run my business.
Yeah, and how I feel.
And how I feel about it. And going along with that, take those vacations. If you're sick, stay home. That's all part of providing a good space for yourself.
Yeah. I actually shut off almost, like 3 to 4 times a week for a couple hours when I go work out. Mm-hmm. It's funny because I see when I go and I train, a lot of people will have their phones out, like, because you step on the mat, you take your shoes off, or you wear flip-flops, whatever. And a lot of people will keep their phones on the side. So, like, in between, if they're doing rounds, they'll be on their phone. I keep my phone in my bag on purpose.
Yeah.
And I truly disconnect for 2 hours. Like, and you know this, if you call me close to 12 or after 1:30,
12 to 3, I figure you're out.
Somewhere around there, right? Between 12 and it's like 11:30 to like sometimes 2, 3. I don't see my phone.
And there's nothing wrong with it.
No, it's great. I tell you, because I get a workout, but I don't even think about, it's weird, as I go, I shower, I change, and then I'm like, it's like I grab my phone, I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
And then I reconnect. But I am truly disconnected for, while I get my exercise in for a part of the day, almost every single day,
That's, now that I have a motorcycle, that's me riding the motorcycle, because I actually have a space for a phone, and I purposely don't put it out.
Yeah.
So I don't see the phone calls come in. I don't see the messages. It goes in my backpack. It's
great.
And it is the most freeing feeling ever.
Dude, I've been going outside lately. Like, I mean, I know we're on this topic of
we're just getting it all out.
No, for sure. I think it's important for people to know this, but I have been, I'm on this thing so much, right, for work. And
almost an addiction.
It's a lot. And,
Yeah.
and we run a lot of our business through phones and social media and marketing and all that. But I will literally, I'll be sitting there, you know, in my chair, and I'll be going through stuff, and I'm like, for like an hour, Theo, you want to go outside? Let's make paper airplanes and go huck them off the balcony. And he's like, yeah. So we totally shut down. We go outside, or let's go walk the park and throw football. Like, it's just like, oh, it's so nice to just be away from the damn phone and being disconnected from this means that I'm disconnected from work because nobody can get in touch with me.
Exactly.
So you disconnect.
And I think when we talk about nails, we talk about giving ourselves permission to fail, right? I think it's important in this area to give yourself permission to get stressed or have those moments of, you know, almost the job is stressing me out. And we tend to feel bad because we love our job. And other people make us kind of feel bad if we talk about being stressed about our job because you wanted to go into this. You love it so much.
I hate that.
You know, so give yourself permission to have those bad days.
Yeah, totally. Like just because you love something doesn't mean that you don't get stressed about it.
Exactly.
Or frustrated.
Doesn't even make sense, but it makes sense to whoever's telling you that.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I love what I do. But some days it still sucks. And some days it's really hard. And some days I'm like, dude, I don't want to do this. I need a break. Mm-hmm. And yes, I love it, which means I can take a lot more pain. Like I would never do something I don't love, first of all, but that's just the way I'm wired. And I've actually tried it and I last maybe a month.
Yeah.
You know, I've tried it last a month and I'm like, I'm out of here and I just can't handle it. But yeah, that's ridiculous when people say that. Like, well, you're the one, you chose this. Like, yeah, I chose it, but so like, and I love it. Still stressed.
Yeah. But it's
relax. Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah, it is fun. But it still can be stressful. So those two pieces I think are really good. I think if you learn to set those boundaries, number one, and then number two, like Tracey was saying, disconnection, I think it's going to really help you manage your stress.